in about 2 months.
We're live.
We're live. Okay. The others take these technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties will have their due. So we were just jumping in. Where were we?
We were talking about I think we were about to get, I was discussing the opening scene. I only got as far as the wall viewpoint, and then hearing how sad Ghost was very much how I was feeling at the end of last week.
Yes. If I could howl all night for Jon Snow getting stabbed.
Into some greatness.
Yeah. It was kind of funny how like his howling brought the people that came. Yeah, like
there are some things that I think there's some TV land problems that definitely happen with the show.
Yeah.
So you try to ignore it. It's like, oh, that's ironic. It was all of his friends and there's one loyal other guy who's not his friend. But I love that it played out like that because that's who needed to be there in order to get the plot going forward.
And why did Melisandre randomly show up to Davos's room?
He also coincidentally showed up. Maybe she was going to go try to make a shadow baby with him.
He's like, hey, I was just strolling around looking at myself. And I saw some flowers. Like, you guys know what's going on? Lord Davos?
Jon Snow! Davos got company that's way more party than I was looking for.
I was like, what did she do? Where did she come from? And since when does Davos just like let her in? You know, she's cool. Cool peeps.
Visiting at night, and we're going to find out they got a thing going on.
Oh, I don't even want that to be a thing.
Me either. But that's that. All right, so that was a great start. It jumped right into the Night's Watch's response to it, and I love that.
Yeah.
And with that whole not the wall and Castle Black, I'm wondering for one how many episodes we're gonna wait, because I truly believe in my heart of hearts that Jon's gonna be resurrected by Mel, and I wonder how long that's gonna take her, and how time jumps differently in the show, so it could be 2 days before half the season is over, or it could be he wakes up next episode and he starts just going for it, and the wildlings show up and everything gets wonderful. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm super excited about the potential for the wall and what's going to happen through the rest of the season with Jon.
So I stumbled upon pictures of season 2, like 4 pictures, nothing epic, right?
Yeah.
But we see spoilers for episode 2. Episode 2 spoilers. Mira Reed sitting there like this. Okay. That's a spoiler.
Your visual is frozen, so I can't see how Mira's looking, but can you give me a description again?
If you just look up to the right, that's how she was. That's just it. That's all she did. She was looking. So, but we do see Dolorous Edd. He's back.
I love Dolorous Edd, and because Dolorous Edd always speaks the truth in the stories, I'm very nervous that they're all going to die in this event. And I didn't think Davos was going to die this early, so I'm kind of sad about that.
Well, I feel like that statement was mostly directed to the Night's Watch, and I think they are all going to die for the most part. And I think, honestly, the Night's Watch is just going to be obliterated. Like, it's not going to exist anymore. So
I agree with that, but he said we're all going to die. You chose the wrong room, and I don't understand how Davos and how Mel is going to get out when all the action starts happening. I mean, there was a lot of space for getting away when like the wildlings attacked the wall the first time. There was a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's less watchmen now, and they're kind of all in that one room, so maybe they might get taken out in a Red Wedding kind of way. That would be so epic because I hate everybody there except for the guys in that room.
Well, when the wildlings show up, it's about to go down. And a lot of people say that the giant coming through the wall is at, I mean, the original book I read said it was Winterfell. And then everything else, a lot of reviewers said it was Castle Black.
I think it's going to be Castle Black. I think one's going to come back with them. And if it's not Castle Black, I think it still could be Winterfell after they take Castle Black and save Jon. Or they go there to kind of ride out for Jon because he doesn't come back and they're extra pissed.
But if they roll back in the fashion to where they got giants busting through the castle, like the wildlings are coming and they're not playing. So pretty much everybody's going down. They hate the Night's Watch anyway. So all they needed was an excuse to like legally murder them. It's like the Purge. The
Oh
wildling
yeah,
version.
they've been waiting. They're out there. They hate the Watts. They hate the, what do they call them? The Southerners, as Northerners they think they are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all they need is a reason. And Tormund's still probably like, I don't even trust these people anyway.
But they
They
killed
want
his
to
homie,
go over there
and,
for it.
and they're going down. And so I believe that like it's going to be a huge slaughter, and there's just going to be a few people that survive it. And I mean, honestly, they're probably all just going to ride out with Jon and be like, F this, we're
Who do you
done.
think the survivors will be?
Nobody that we know. I mean, nobody from the Night's Watch that we care about. It'll be Jon, Davos, Mel, Tormund. He'll make it to the Battle of Winterfell, at least.
You think Dolores will make it out?
He'll probably have to go just because we don't need him, and he could, somebody's got to die to show the impact of the battle. So, and
That's the hard part, watching him clean up and tie up loose ends.
yeah, mad screen time, so he's totally gonna die.
He did have a lot. Yeah, he's never spoken this much. I mean, I love him in the books, but they did not give his just due in the show.
Yeah, he had like 4 lines.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. They paid him a little extra this time.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
How's about that blood in the snow?
That was my phase 2 of this. I have thought with all the pictures I saw, and I think the end of last season we saw it coming out from under him, and I feel like there's something like an ink blot. You could make whatever you want from it, but I think it's ironic that it reminds me of wings of any kind. So that being said, I personally feel they could be dragon wings in some kind of foreshadowing way. Probably don't have enough evidence for that, but all of my belief is that Jon may be part Targaryen and or maybe one of the dragon riders in the future, and that could be a little nod to that.
Yeah,
or hint.
He's totes Targ.
Yeah, I think he's destined to come back and kick butt, and I'm not sure about the whole ending, but I never thought he was going to stay dead. I think the whole point of having Beric Dondarrion and Thoros is kind of like being mirrored here. That was foreshadowing for the fact that there's a red priest and a dead guy. Seems to be losing her faith at the same time, and she probably is going to bring him back and surprise herself the same way that Beric was brought back. And those wings, that blood shape, and the fact that they kind of hovered over it, to me, I think there was something there.
Well, that kind of segues into another point I was going to make, is that Melisandre is like completely, her faith is broken at this point, right?
Yeah, she's kind of like, she hasn't verbalized it from what we heard in the preview, but we can tell that's brewing. She's just like, I can't believe I was wrong. She even said, I saw him at Winterfell, and she's still trying to figure out why she saw these things in the flames, and it looks like they're not happening. I am surprised that her first thought isn't, maybe I could bring him back, but that shows you how far she's lost her faith.
Yeah, she's too busy thinking about how everything she's been believing the whole time was all wrong.
Yeah, and in hindsight, as old as she appears to be, when she said before how much she sacrificed and lost and given up, who knows? I mean, she killed Shireen, which I'm still trying to get over, but she probably, I mean, she lost everything probably close to her, for one, for living that long, and for two, she probably sacrificed a whole lot of people thinking it was going to be the answer.
Another
She
kid
stumbles
is
across Stannis and thinks he's the answer. Then she thought Jon was the answer, but it was too late. And I'm really sad for her. Even I empathize with her, but I don't have any clue. After she brings him back, maybe she'll give her own life. Like, it kind of feels like they have to tie her up too, or close that loose end. What's going to happen with her? Is she going to be 500 years old?
Let me ask you this.
A dream of spring.
Can you think of any other servants of the Red God that had a loss of faith and brought back somebody that was near them, close to them, that had passed?
Say that again?
Can you think of any servant of R'hllor, a believer, a priest or priestess of the Red God, that had a complete loss of faith, like the crisis, over it, and then somebody dies and they just say these words and that person is brought back?
Yeah.
It seems to me like that's the correlation, like they had to break her down.
Oh, I agree.
The whole, oh my God. is all. I don't know why he does that, Malor. Why he won't let you resurrect people until you don't believe in him anymore.
Well, it's probably like just the idea of the theme of that's how kind of like how our spirituality works. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes we do give
those
up,
points.
and then something big happens, and we're like, oh my God, we do believe it was because of whatever we believe in, our Lord or our red God or God. It just depends on it's like that moment in life where you tie those two things together. And
Be the light.
I still don't understand what it is because I know the Ironborn do the kiss and it's like CPR, so I'm still trying to figure out if there's a scientific thing to this resurrection. But I feel like R'hllor has to be the most so far kind of legitimized God with actual things happening based on people believing in it.
Yeah, he's the only God that has shown us anything. And it's more than
Right,
just
like we've seen Glamour, we've seen people come back. I mean, Barrett came back like, what they say, like 6 times?
Star was
8 times?
resurrected after days. You know, that's
Yeah,
magic. That's not a trick. Like that's
right. And they were not brain dead. I mean, you got some zombified people, depending on your theories, like Robert Strong, but, Cat came back with pretty decent reasoning, even though she was a little cray-cray.
like for days. When they brought back Barrick, he was okay. You wouldn't know he was jacked up till you really like sit down and talk to him. You can pull it off like in public. Somebody who's been in a river for 3 days, yeah, she's gonna look like ass and be a mess because she was killed in a river. And the mountain was the poison. What that poison did to his body, for him to even survive a second after that is crazy.
Shout out to Oberyn. May he rest in peace.
We're gonna go there. Okay, moving on.
Let's bring this back in. All right, so I had a question about the wall before we get off the wall. Is just wondering how you think the wildlings will come back. You think they'll come back in the 50s and the 100s, or do you think like just a handful of 20 good men that care about Jon? Because some of them didn't care. Some of them were skeptical the whole time.
But they came through that wall.
It won't take many wildlings to take them out.
They came through that wall though. They came south.
Yeah, they came through. They came through like giving them the side eye. So it was like they didn't fully respect it, but they took it, and that's what their whole goal was. So I would think a lot of them do feel like, how if these guys killed him, what are they going to do to us? They killed him for letting us in.
What's her name in the show? The wildling chiefess, Arcee?
She kicked ass. Something like that. Something like that. I'm so wanting her to come back in a Lady Stoneheart kind of way.
That was my thought talking about her. She was so awesome. But she said to Jon, like, you think they're going to let us through without you?
Yeah, you have to be there. She did. She sure did. Right before she got murked by the children.
So now they've killed him, right? So what are they going to use to hold on to? He's gone. So
I feel like if it was me and I was the wildling Tormund leader, I would go take them out and then start reaving further south.
By
I'd take them out just off top.
So off top, like automatic spot to stay at, and you can become like the new Night's Watch because there's literally like we're at the point to where there's like 40 of them.
They would be a better Night's Watch. They can kill Ollie first. I mean, they usually don't condone murder of children, but Ollie can go today.
See how he like walked up trying to be all tough, like
he was a smug little bastard. I also like how he aged like a real life. You gotta love that about the kids growing up on the show.
How what?
He's not the sweet little boy he was when the season ended. He actually grew up a little bit.
Yeah. But I just walking up when they were like, "Your commander's dead. Who killed him?" And Thorne's like, "I did, me and my friends." And they're like, "Traitor!" And Ollie walks up like, "Are we having a problem here?" It's like, "Yeah."
Is there a problem? Are we finished or are you done?
Can I finish? They're like, Ollie, go away. Just die already. Hate Ollie.
Yeah, but I do think that Thorne gave a really good speech. If anybody had an argument for traitordom, it's kind of like, even as a book reader, I was like, why doesn't Jon see this coming? Why doesn't he realize they're all brute and animosity and discomfort? I mean, he had to do it, I think, but he did not navigate it well politically. Not that I'm sure he had a lot of room to play with, because Thorne had it out for him anyway.
That was the worst part about it in book. What's that? So you have something else open?
Huh?
Like another show or something with another discussion, like the echo is.
No. Hold on. Might be my room I'm in has an echo, but I don't know if it's any better. Nothing else is open though.
Ooh, I mean, I'll listen to it after the fact and see how it sounds, but I can hear myself, and that's normal.
I don't. My phone is not on. Headphones are not on.
All right, keep it moving. I'll clean it up later.
Let's move off the wall to the Bolton.
Okay. Ramsay having this whole little emotional moment with Miranda. I was like, since when does Ramsay care about anybody's life ever in the world? And then he was like, fair to the dogs, and I was like, okay, there he is. There he is.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. It was like for 2 seconds I thought maybe he's not the guy we thought he was.
He said that's a good beat.
For half a heartbeat, in the words of George.
Half a heartbeat. And he brought you back.
I was like, nope, there he is. There he is.
There he is. And then his dad pulls his total card, which further solidifies my belief that he's gonna kill Roose and Walda. Because he's like, yo, you played your games with Sansa, played your games with the heir to Winterfell, the heir to the Iron Islands, and now they're both gone. You pretty much, I hope I'm having another son to replace you because you're the worst.
Yeah, I agree with that now. I was a little bit skeptical, but I actually think the next logical step for Crazy Ramsay is to kill his dad and the lady who might have an heir that will replace him.
And because we heard where they just
thing, but I think he is going to try to kill him, however obvious, or he tries to be low key with it, but they're not going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it. I'm not even sure he's going to make it.
Not. Remember that one of those first teasers we got where they had the house banners waving, and they had voice, and he was like, "I'm the Lord of Winterfell now. Come see."
Yeah.
The Lord of Winterfell. He's not the Lord of Winterfell right now. Roose is. So for him to be the Lord of Winterfell, Roose has to be dead. He's the heir. And so for him to say, "I'm the Lord of Winterfell now, come see," I was like, boom, dead.
But you know what? I can't figure out how he's going to get Roose's men to turn on Roose. I feel like that would be a hard coup.
He's the next Bolton, like he's the son. He doesn't have to convince them to follow him. He's just next in line. So when dad is dead,
I see your point.
Like what are they gonna do? Like, like call a council and be like.
That's true. But on that note, don't you feel like this episode is bringing in this season potentially a lot of kinslayers when that was really seemingly super forbidden?
But you know what? That's right, used to be a thing too. And obviously it's not. When if Stark was in Winterfell, a maiden could walk the streets unmolested.
Yeah, she could. Somebody commented in one of my comments, I think it might have been on a Teflon TV video, we were talking about, I think I said, what if the Song of Ice and Fire is really just them combining forces to be the greater good or to fight the evil? And someone said it was more of a balance. And I never really thought about the fact that that was what they meant by a Stark always being in Winterfell. And it might be what was needed with the Stark at the Wall. I don't know how deep that goes.
Yes. Stark and Winterfell and a Targaryen on the throne. Like ice and fire. We lost Targs on the throne and stuff has fallen apart. And the only other thing we had was Stark was still in Winterfell. And then once that was gone, it was like, maybe the others are like, yeah, we're on, guys.
That's true. That's true. Well, I don't know. Yeah, because King's Landing was doing good, but it wasn't doing good under every Targaryen ruler.
No, not doing good. They had control. Only people that the others weren't even trying it. They were just a myth at this point. And the only rebellion problems they had were freaking Greyjoys, and that's just because that's what they do.
That's true.
So for the most part, there was peace.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the answer to that, because I feel like we're on to something, but I don't feel like it was always consistent. Like when there was a Stark in Winterfell, bad things still happened, but it was like there was more order.
It's not
Like
bad.
his dad died and his brother died by the Targaryen's hands, and so the balance with humans was fine, was human nature, but like the seasons and the magic and the others trying to come south, all that stuff seemed to get thrown off when the balance was thrown off.
I mean, yeah, winter started to
I can't wait to see how the children and the others play into all the human stuff that's going on with Westeros and with the East.
Yeah, I think that has a big deal to do with it. I have to turn on my light so I can see my notes because I'm old and blind.
Okay.
Don't judge me.
I'm not.
I'm sorry that I know that creates like this crazy glare, but it's life.
It looks fine to me. I had another note about Ramsay.
Okay.
I realized that I had thought about it last night when I watched it for the third time. That I think that's what's going to lead to what everybody's calling Bastard Bowl. Like if he takes Ruth out and he takes out and everybody just rallies behind him because they're about to get attacked anyway by whoever's showing up, which could be 1-1 kicking in Winterfell's gate, could be the Wildings coming over, or who knows what. But I think that what Ruth said to him in that episode is what's going to drive him probably to his own demise, but he's going to like take some people with him before he goes.
Bruce?
I hope Stannis the Manus shows back up and is part of that. I feel like he's not dead either. I know that wasn't in the episode. But.
Why do you think he's not dead?
A part of me feels like when he told Brienne to do her duty, they both have that super duty tunnel vision. And I feel like she was like, "You're right. I'm supposed to be finding Lady Sansa. Let me go off into the forest, and then I'll run into her at the fork in the road."
So would that mean
I'm going to leave you there. Sorry.
Would that mean that the soldiers that found Sansa and Theon are soldiers left over from the battle, or soldiers that were sent?
No, Ramsay said he sent a team out, so he sent them from Winterfell. They're his men that he sent out when he realized his boo ran away.
So at this point, if Stannis had been killed, he's already dead and murdered, and they.
At this point, if Stannis had been killed, Stannis is dead out there somewhere, because that's what Ruth was saying when their scene started. Ruth said, "Did you find the man who struck the killing blow?" And that was an unnecessary statement and scene. And Ramsay said no, and that's why he was extra pissed. He said, "Pity, I would reward him." So nobody found the man who struck the killing blow, and nobody found the body that we know of.
You better stop, because at the end of last season, I was like, yeah, he's totally alive, because Brienne decided at the last minute she's not going to kill him. She's going to use him as leverage, and he's going to be like, you know what? I freaking sacrificed my daughter, and my wife hung herself, and my Red Priestess bounced. I've been all wrong, and what can I do to fix it? Because I'm the worst in the world. Then during the off season, that went away. To bring it back.
I never really thought he was dead. I feel like he might have a little more to do, and I could be wrong, but it's one of those blurs I have between what I think is left to happen in the book, the missing pink letter in the show, but the potential for it to come back, like that Maester that was there with Ramsay. Yeah. They've never shown a Maester with him, and for me, it brought in a whole potential for that guy to do something special or not.
He's like Chekhov's Maester.
Stannis took their Maester. I can't remember how it ended in the book. I'm thinking of the Theon Leak chapter.
Not in the show.
The chapter.
In the show, the last Maester we have at Winterfell, you know what happened to him.
Right, but in the Winds of Winter Leak Sample Theon chapter, excuse me, Stannis is asking one of the Maesters that came from Winterfell, who was actually like low-key supposed to be spying, and he was sending ravens back, and he was quizzing him about, how many places they fly. That was all part of why some people think that the pink letter, came from Stannis potentially, and I feel like there's still a chance that could play out in the next 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. Even though that was the reason why Jon in the books wanted to go home and why they murdered him. I'm going to say shanked him. So they kind of could have done it then, but maybe they weren't sure. Or maybe they won't do it at all. The maester could have just been standing there, like as the guy that Ramsay was going to tell feed the dogs.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. Pink letter stuff. Why did John leave the wall stuff? The show still hasn't even answered that. Like, we could still speculate on why he, in the future, like where is he going to go next? Because I believe that when he comes back, people, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but I don't understand why anybody would say he would be resurrected and like go back to being the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Like, how do you get murdered? It's like me being the captain of the football team, and then the whole football team votes to have me not be the captain, and then I find some loophole and I come back and I can still be the captain. I know they all hate me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I think that when he returns, no matter what level of himself he is, he's going to go fight outside of the wall. I think he's going to go south. Either he's going to fight the White Walkers because they're going to have showed up, which I don't think that's happening this early, or he's going home to get his sisters and whoever else he thinks might still be alive and salvage what's left of the Stark name and history.
What if Stannis is still alive and still legitimizes him?
That could very well happen. I didn't think about him being legitimized because honestly, if my theory is right, he's a Targaryen. So, this could go in many ways, but nobody can prove that. So
you can't even use that for anything right now. But if he goes out, he's like, "F y'all, you killed me, I'm out." And then he's like, runs into Stannis, and he's like, "Stannis, dude, you're alive. I thought you were dead. No, I'm alive, and I'll make you a Stark still." And only reason he would ever need to be a Stark is because get the North behind him.
Yeah. And they're waiting for somebody to get behind.
But some will be like, "But he's a bastard." But if he's a Stark, then he's got everybody. He's the Stark in Winterfell.
Yeah, I don't think that at this point in life, the North has been royally, I'm trying not to cuss, I don't know what your channel's about, but they've taken it with no Vaseline.
No Vaseline.
I think if Rickon showed up at age 5, they would follow him and rally behind him because that's what they want to do. So if Jon shows up as a grown-ass man with fighting skills and he has the Stark look, they're just excited that they have another king in the North or whatever they're going to end up wanting to call him. I'm so excited to see where that goes.
Yeah. And Sansa too, like, they just need a Stark. They don't even care if it's a female. They're just like, any of the Ned's kids. Ned.
The Ned.
What is the Ned? All right.
So for the Sansa, you want to go to the Sansa rescue or kind of skim over that? What's happening with her and her whole potential?
I've watched the Sansa and Brienne scene 3 times now, and I've cried every single time.
It was so, I feel like I'm not mad at, I never was mad last season about her unfortunate rape from Ramsay, but I knew that they were bringing that character down to the dumps so that her rise would be that much more epic. And it really worked for me because I know she got a bad rap with Joffrey, but as a show watcher, you didn't really get the grasp of it until she married Ramsay and that happened to her in front of Reek. So it was like just a strong sense of vindication that she's got somebody who cares about her. Her and Theon go way back, and she's got, when Brienne stood up and said her oath, that was just like the thing I've been waiting for since I finished the book. I know she's going to find her. There's no reason they left her looking in that damn window for a whole season. And it was like redemption for both of them. Brienne finally got a chance to not let anybody die on her watch. Not that they were all her fault. And Sansa's finally like, I should have listened to you. And I hope part of her realizes that Littlefinger was shady, because if she had listened to Brienne the first time, she would have never had a lot of bad stuff happen to her when they ran into each other at the inn at the crossroads.
I felt so moved by that scene. And this will probably be my most dramaticest of responses until I see Sansa like take a high seat or a throne. Because I'm Team Sansa. Like, she's my #1 favorite character of all time. Because I get it. I got it a long time ago. So see Brienne and she didn't even say anything. Okay, I'm just gonna break it down for you.
It was super. That was my other point. I don't mean to cut you off, but the acting in this episode, Brienne, that was, for one, that's my favorite season of my favorite episode and scene. That's my favorite scene.
It's gonna be I'm pretty sure it's gonna be my favorite scene of this season until something epic.
It's my favorite scene of the whole show right now. It has everything beat that I thought was great and beautiful, and that is it. That moment, Pod coming in out of left field, dropping his knowledge. He's like, you know, you always have meat and meat at my table. It was beautiful. I'm about to take it there
because first off, you know, Sansa and Theon are running, and they're freezing. They've been through the icy river, and she's just like, you know, completely happy with her. Now he's like, Sansa, you know, he looks at her and she's just like, and he just holds her. Like, you know, just grabs her and holds her. And she just like relaxes her head on him, knowing that to somebody finally, she could just take 2 seconds and close her eyes and just relax. And then
only half a heartbeat.
Then the dogs come. It's all falling apart. And he's about to sacrifice himself to save her life. He tries to. He doesn't consider it sacrifice because he's like, look, go north, go find Jon. It's all good. I got this. And stands out there like, hey, look at me, kill me. And Brienne comes. And Podrick. And I'm so happy that they did not make Podrick an epic ninja because that would have pissed me off. He was good.
I love his claws. He fell off the horse.
Yes, that's the appropriate fighting level for Podrick right now. So that was perfectly. Brienne murks everybody. Jon saves Podrick's life. And then Sansa, after all the fighting is done, everybody's looking at her. And her, still being a lady and always keeping her courtesies, the way she stands up, it was like, oh, let me greet my guests. Like, that's there's company. Okay, let me make myself appropriate for the people that just saved my life. You know, then she comes and she just stands there. She's automatic. She's noble. She's royalty automatically. Like it comes to her like this. It's like, let me get up, and she just stands up there like, okay, so, you know, she was like, oh my God, I did it. Just stands, and Brienne's like, sheesh, and says the exact.
Catelyn do that, and that's what made that. It was like a repeat of Catelyn, you know, getting Brienne's oath, and it was like perfectly done. I just can't even put words to it. It was perfectly done.
The best part, remember how Catelyn in the books, she said she had heard so many people say those words to Ned, but nobody had said it to her before. Yeah. And that's the reason she even knew like comeback words, listening to people swear their swords to her husband. And so Sansa being was familiar with it, but not to where like she had learned it herself. So that's why when Pa was feeding her lines, I was like, oh my God, this is so freaking epic, because she still meant it. It wasn't like, I'm just saying these words.
She meant it. That's all she has. And it was just like, you could see the weight off her shoulders. It's like this big old kick-ass chick just swore to protect me for the rest of my life. Like, I'm not going to die today. Today is not the day I die.
When she stood up,
like, not today.
Finally, I saved somebody. Like, you are the one, Sansa. Like, you're the freaking one. It's so on right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. Even just going over this again is so exciting, because I'm like, there's so many women coming up in this season, and I don't know how the power structure is going to end, but I just love seeing her come back from being a victim. And I know that was part of the story, and sometimes such is life, but I want to see her strong side and her skills exercised, because she has them.
I've always told people that, you know, Sansa, and I'm not going to go into my Sansa rant. I have to do a whole video about that because I have so much to say about it. Excuse me. I've said it in bits and pieces in other discussions and other videos, but I really just have to lay out my full thoughts on it. But the main point is, Sansa is one of the smartest people in the show. She never cut up, and she never got out of line and out of pocket, because that would have gotten her killed. And she's still alive. And she's got full capacity of herself. All her body parts are there. She's good. Yes, she had sex. Not had sex. I'll say she was assaulted. I don't like to use that word though, because it's a whole other topic. Anyway, she's been violated in that way, which she wouldn't have chosen if she had the choice. But she is completely able to come back from this. And I always felt like people didn't understand, like when you're not safe, you have to do what you have to do to survive.
I always thought she did a good job of that too, since day one. She initially tried to buck on Joffrey, and she learned pretty quickly that that was not a good idea. And the Hound kind of helped her with that.
And that's why Arya would never have lasted in the same situation where Sansa is, because they fight their battles in different ways. And I hate it when people try to call Arya strong and call Sansa weak, because they're both still alive. And you know, it's not fair just because one fights physically and one fights with discipline and courtesy to call the other one. And Sansa.
Yeah, I agree. They're both strong, and it's not fair to compare the two, because Arya was already like raging, where if Cersei could have got away with it, she would have probably had her off early on from her mouth and her, you know, look at that one, she's a wild wolf, you know, the way that when Joffrey was bitten. I agree. Arya was not built for politics or kneeling. She should have been a wildling.
I was just about to say that. Like, she should have been born south of the wall. That's the only place where she will ever really do well. Maybe now, after all of this, being humbled, maybe she'll try to be like. Yeah, close the door, baby. Her anger and her pride are just too much. That's why being a faceless man will really bring out the best in her, because they're just going to break her down to her.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you want to move on to another chunk?
Sorry, I got the baby. Going on, Nat? I don't know. I was going to go potty in the potty now. Okay, let's talk about Jaime and Cersei.
That's just what I was leading to. I didn't notice until the second watch that when first of all, I loved her intro, and when she came outside and she immediately noticed the casket, and Jaime and her face was just so emotionally well acted. And it took me another watch to realize that was Robert Strong actually kind of standing behind her like a Secret Serviceman, and I thought that was kind of cool. I wasn't shocked. None of that was shocking. It was just well played, well done. They skimmed over the BS of how it happened and what happened, and I kind of appreciated that. It seems like they're trying to get to a lot of places in the story, so I'm glad there wasn't a lot of BS with them having to discuss what happened to Myrcella. I'm not sure the prophecy. I was surprised that she mentioned that, but she didn't mention the full prophecy.
She never did. Last time she brought it up. Well, never mind. She never brought it up. She never brought it in the show, did she? Only in the books.
She had the flashback in the show, and I'm not sure the flashback mentioned the Balin part either. I gotta rewatch that.
Didn't. But she never spoke it to anybody but Qyburn. No, to Pycelle in the books, right?
I'm not sure. I feel like she didn't say it to anyone. But
she had a bad dream, and she sent for Pycelle.
She probably told it to Lady Merryweather. Let's see. She told Lady Merryweather everything.
Huh?
She told Lady Merryweather everything.
Yeah, well, she asked for dream wine and said she wanted something to make her not dream, and she asked Pycelle if you can, if your futures can be foretold or whatever. And he was like, well, I think the question is, should they be foretold? And she was like, of course, useless. You know, that's right when she was like on her F Pycelle thing.
Yeah, she got mad at him. I forgot about that.
It's that dude.
He's crooked anyway. So one of my big things was how far will show Jaime go for blood before he becomes book Jaime where we left off, and I'm kind of interested in that. I'm not upset if it takes a while because it has to go through its own process, but it was just kind of hard to watch him say, we'll take back what's been taken from us, which sounded so much more like something she would say. And he also didn't care about his kids until 10 minutes ago, so I'm still trying to get on that boat.
She's my daughter. But, like, literally last time they talked about the kids, she was like, we're never your kids. It's fine. It's fine. We're not going to talk about continuity issues. But the thing is, so refresh me on the show. Did Tyrion tell him that she was effing Lancel or anybody else? Moon Boy or anybody else on the show? I don't remember. I know they had a good goodbye, like a sweet goodbye, opposed to the goodbye they had in the book.
You stopped. You froze for a second, but I think you're saying that you missed the scene in the show where Tyrion told him all the beans.
Yeah.
You are accurate. Tyrion never told him anything, and he never told Tyrion about Tysha in the show. So in the show, Tyrion never went around wondering where whores go or anything like that.
One day I'm gonna do a video.
He was just upset about Shay.
Okay.
So that was kind of like, to me, that took a lot out of why he was so drunken. I mean, I also never in the show realized that he had bad dreams, and that's why he drank a lot. That wasn't easily seen until I read the story. Yeah, so I think they left it. Sorry. Huh? Yeah, I felt like in the book it expressed more that he had trouble sleeping. I mean, they talked about a lot of nights where he was up late, like he was up late reading. I think in the book he was up late reading when that library caught fire in Winterfell. He was the last one in there.
I never took it as insomnia though. I thought he was like.
I could be wrong, but I felt like there was a few references throughout the story on the reread that he had trouble falling asleep and didn't sleep well.
I mean, he says it in the show. He says, "I can't sleep without wine" to Jorah, and Jorah's like, "Well, stay awake then." When he kidnaps him. But anywho, moving along.
Speaking of the Lannisters, what of King Tommen? I wrote that down because I don't understand what they're going to do with that poor boy.
Well, what I was about to go into was Marjorie and the High Sparrow, so that kind of segues into that.
Yeah, it was really weird that he mentioned her husband. Like I think he's trying to make some kind of deal.
I haven't heard anybody talk about this yet. Hello.
Yeah, everybody said they were asleep during that part, and I can understand. It's a little slow. But I read into it, and I'm like, why is he talking about her husband being lonely? All the prisoners' husbands are lonely.
and when you know the sentence I'm talking about. When he said, "You're perfect and without sin," and I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, "We're all sinners," and he hopped up like, "Boom, you're good. You're on the way. You're on the path. That's the first step." And she looked at him like, "The first step? Like I just said a sentence."
Yeah, she looked at him like he's trying to tell her, "Listen to what I'm saying now," and just go along with it.
Trying to feed her information. He's like, he said, "Can I see my brother?" "No, but let's talk about your husband." And right. We're all sinners. You got it. You're on the way. And she looked like, that's why the next banner on my wall is going to be the Tyrells.
The Knight of Flowers.
Marjorie's smart as hell, and she gets no credit. Like, nobody even discusses her or, like, cares about her. And she's very
smart as hell, and I'd like to do a whole episode on what moments in the show and in the books that I was like, this chick has game. She's like the little girl Littlefinger without being evil.
Evil.
But she's married like mad people. She's like a widow 10 times over. She's serious to the cause. She's family duty honor if no one else is.
Now she's about to become a freaking follower of they're all followers of the Seven. She's about to go all the way in. She's going to pretend she's a super duper militant space person. She's going to roll over on Cersei based on whatever the High Sparrow talks her into. She's going to get out of there with her head and probably minus the walk of shame. Because she's going to become like a Septa. Like she's going to go all the way in, and he's gonna feed her the information like, if you do this, you won't die. If you do this, you
Yeah.
won't die.
I think, and this gets me on a whole nother tangent, and we'll have a whole nother video about it if you're willing to do it. I firmly believe the High Sparrow is a man with a plan, and HS may equal HR. The long game.
I like that. I like it a lot. I'm still trying to find evidence to support it. Once I find it,
I don't need any evidence.
you're already in.
This is one that I just feel like I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like it feels right. The dude didn't just send his kids out there. I think he also went on a mission. And there could be somebody else taking over Greywater Watch. They always have cats out.
His kids, like, they're just.
Why won't they go home?
His kids.
Huh? I think Jojen is dead. I mean, I'm not sure. I believe this crazy theories or what, but I just think at least Mira's still there because you said we saw a clip of her on the show.
Talking show, kids.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing it again. Show book.
I do it too. Don't know. Believe
in the book, they're still in the tree, so they can't go home. I think that Mira was told to go with her brother wherever he is. And that's that. They're just there with Bran, who has to have time pass for all of this stuff to culminate.
I just thought that their job was to get him to the Three-Eyed Raven or Three-Eyed whatever, and now he's there. So I'm like, then why didn't y'all just say, okay, good job, bye, and then go home? I mean,
Jojen knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
And Mira just didn't know. She was skeptical the whole time. She was very smart, and she was realizing like Cold Hands didn't talk, and he didn't eat, or not talk, but he didn't eat, and he was cold, and Black Hands. She just was going to help Jojen do whatever he felt he needed to do to protect him.
And she loves Bran.
And she loves Bran. She has a weakness for crippled things.
Bastards, crippled, and broken things.
Yes. So, I feel like we could skim past Dorne. I can't stay on too long, I'm sorry, but
yeah. I mean,
I do.
But we can come back to it if we have time. It's not a big deal.
I just don't have much to say about Dorne except that they had to wrap up some ends. I'm assuming they're not going to cover in the show. And then I getting to Marine and Dany was another epic part for me because I just couldn't wait to see her because she's my favorite character. Mm-hmm. And I just love seeing Tyrion and Varys together, and I can't wait to see how they help her. And I love the idea that she is such a noble person in the same way that you said, in the same way you said Sansa is, because as soon as she found the right moment to talk shit to those Dothraki, she's like, don't touch me. Like, she was a little humbled in the fact that they really didn't care, but they still had that Khaleesi respect for her.
She waited.
But she thought she was about to just tell them all her 8,000 titles and walk out of there and give them some cattle. I mean, some horses. And I also think there's something to the fact that if we believe prophecy, I know that she's gone back, and I think she's going to pass under the shadow when she goes to Base Rock under those two stallions.
Yeah.
So I think that only means progress for her if the prophecy is right, that she doesn't even realize she's following it, although she kept trying to decipher it all this time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all coming to pass. The fact that she quoted that prophecy in this episode, I was like, they're bringing it back. That's for a reason. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
What did she say?
When he was like, paraphrasing, I'm gonna bone you tonight, and you're gonna give me a son.
Like, yes. That's the other thing. Not until the sun sets and rises in the west and sets in the east. And that's when the little hating wives were like, I told you she was a witch. She's a woods witch. She's a magey.
Why do wives look like this? How come they can't move their heads? They're like, you should burn her, cow. She's a witch.
Yeah, I think they were just being stank. They were just being bitches.
They were like they watch it again, like they never move their heads. They have like, they're doing stuff in their hands where they're like,
I never realized that. I think they were just trying to be unenthused and act like, just shoo that fly away. That's not important. She's nothing. She'll never be us.
There was something unsettling about it to me, and I did not like it. And I'm gonna have to talk to Dave and Dan about that. But as far as Annie ended the Dothraki, I don't even think I wrote anything down about them.
Oh, I made a joke. I wrote a joke about the bro code about not boning the cow's wife. That cracks me up. I'm like, of all the things, he sits her and tells her she's millionth of her name. But I mean, that is lucky because usually they gang rape the people they pillage, and so that was a lovely thing that we didn't have to watch Daenerys go through that.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was gonna be more epic from the trailer because that was in the teaser too. I thought it was gonna be like this big battle thing, but it was just like, oh, you're nobody, and then she says, yeah, I am somebody, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, and then cuts her shackles off. I was like, oh, that was the thing from the trailer.
I think it was better that it was verbal though, because it kind of had me going, how the heck is this going to turn out? They realize she can speak. They're a little shocked, but they try to be underwhelmed. But they're like, she knows Dothraki, this little pale-haired lady. Like, where's she come from?
Toast laughed at her though. That was funny. After she gave
Yeah,
her whole
they
speech, the blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah
they did.
and the blah blah blah, and they were just like, ah!
They're like, F you, lady. You're an old crone. That's all we care about.
Her face, she was like, you're not impressed? My
She was very, because she's so stuck up. I love her. She's so stuck up.
full of herself. Okay, I'm just going to backpedal for a second and say the one thing I wanted to say about Dorne. But I wrote it down, like I wrote down the whole sentence. After, okay, so I had to bring up, my broham, James Bushell. He just did a video the other day with Tinker Jasso where the topic was, can Dorne be saved? And in there, he said the only way he thinks Dorne can be saved, like as a plot at this point, is if they introduce a new character. When he said that to me, my first thought was automatically Arianne. She's the next heir. So I was like, yeah, Arianne come back and be like, oh my God, never said he didn't have a daughter. And here I am. And you bastards killed my dad and now you're going to die. But then I thought about it more and I was like, yeah, it's probably not Arianne. It's probably going to be, he was thinking like Darkstar or somebody, cooler. But then when I rewatched it today, and so what's the paramour's name? Oberyn's boo. Ilaria. Ilaria stabs Doran. And as he's dying, he's like, my son. She says, your son is weak, just like you. Weak men will never rule Dorne again. And for some reason, that just jumped out in my head the way she said, your son is weak, just like you. And I was like, what if she's promoting a daughter? What if she's got a daughter of Martell and she's trying to create this chaos because she feels like the daughter is the stronger one? I feel like it's a segue or opening to introduce Arianne. Not saying Arianne is a part of it, but saying that they believe more in Arianne because you know how close she is to her cousin.
Yeah.
Not that Arianne would ever condone anything that they've done. If they were going to try to deny it and say, we don't know what happened, everybody's just dead, but now you're the princess.
Yeah.
I could see them trying to use this as a way to save Dorne and also add Alaris the Sphinx.
Have we heard any leaks about an Arianne casting? Because I just feel like I see where you're going with it, but I think they're combining the idea that a woman would be in charge in Dorne, and it's going to be Ilaria and the Sand Snakes attempting to be running the show. That's what I think. I actually don't know if they're going to give Dorne that much time with the limited amount of episodes left.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't know how to justify Ilaria Sand, some random lady like
Paramore. Well, Dorne isn't like that though.
They're not, but they still follow the same code. Like that's why Arianne could never marry Darkstar, because he was cool or whatever, but he wasn't to her level.
Well, if we believe the stuff her dad told her going back to the books instead of the show, he didn't want her to marry people because he was plotting other stuff. I really can't figure out what Dorne is about, and that's probably the very little reason why it still interests me. Not Doran. I'm trying not to say the man's name. The country itself and what it's about and its culture is very different from I mean, if you remember when Oberyn came back, and even Ilaria told Jaime that they wouldn't look down on him for incest.
Hold on, because what I'm saying is, in the books, in Ariane's inner monologue, and
I
she's
love Arianne in the book.
Star, and she's like, "Oh, he's so hot and sexy." If he was higher born, not higher born, but basically, she's like, he's not at my level. Like, he's a knight.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree. They're all a little bit hierarchical
They still have
in some ways.
that same hierarchy. So you can't just be a random sand and just run Dorne. Another major house
No.
can run Dorne.
But it does feel like they're so Dorne is so angry according to what she's saying, and if you see, the guards standing there and them actually agreeing with that, the country has to be at some point, or at least factions of it, tired of Martell rule. And there's a lot of people that were anti-Martell anyway. Every country has its houses that like hate the leadership, so they might have just kind of nudged the right people who
would have to
say, I'd rather see bastards on the throne, chicks on the throne, than to watch this dude sit in his chair with his gout and continue to like twiddle his thumb.
Have to use her.
They have mad respect for the Viper.
Can't be the ruler, Candace. Like, she can't be the one to sit in that seat that only Martell and Nymeria created the other seat. Like, you can't. Dorne has never been conquered. It's not a conquered area where you just kill people because you don't like the way they rule, and then you rule. That's the whole point of Dorne.
I agree, but it doesn't mean that's not what they're not trying to pull, though. I totally agree. It's going to be weird. It just doesn't seem fitting with the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. And it doesn't fit with the rest of the Seven Kingdoms.
I just got a notification that my laptop is at 10%.
That is a sign the seven. Seven are telling us to get off. You want to wrap it up?
Well, one other thing we didn't talk about I have a handful of minutes. The fleet burning in Marine, I feel like that was done.
That was my next note.
Yeah.
That just means Ironborn are coming. Ironborn are coming to save the day and or wreck some shit, and I'm excited about that. I don't know who's coming. You're on Victorian. I just want to, or Yara. If Yara takes all the part, that's just another chick kicking ass, and I'm with that as well.
Everything you said. Hashtag. Add that to me.
I love her. I just love her story. Like, even on reread, I was a little bored in the Ironborn segments, but she is like Arianne, just not one that can use her womanly wiles as much. But she's smart, she's ambitious, and I think if they roll her into the story to be one of the nuncles, the role of one of the nuncles.
Your nuncles.
As far as the King's Moot, that'll be good.
My nuncle.
Nuncle.
Oh. But yeah, I agree. Everything you said. My other last point was the Arya fight. The Waif, the whole entire.
I wrote the Waif to die.
He beat her like a chick off the street, like she killed her dog. I was like, dang, son.
I hate the Waif. I'm so happy that she's teaching her skills, but I hate her at the same time because she's enjoying it. She's enjoying beating blind death.
I can't wait for Assassin's Creed Arya to show up and be like.
What I think is going to be cool is, even if we have to wait the whole season, I'll feel like it was worth it for a realistic growth to happen. And I know the actress said that she kind of lays low this season, so I think we're going to see her losing. And I would say next season she's going to be like a super duper fighter. She's probably going to have all of her skills in place by then, and whether she stays there or has already, which I think she's going to leave the House of Black and White. She's not going to leave there empty-handed without knowing how to wreck shop.
You think you can just leave?
No, I don't think you can just leave, but I think if anybody could bounce, it's going to be her. She does what she wants to do.
I think that, I don't know, I think she may just not pass. She
may leave in a release kind of way. I mean, the fact that he said you get 2 chances, there won't be a third. Maybe they might have some level of mercy on her and they won't kill her, but they'll boot her. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like she's going to die, but I love her so much I don't want her to die. I just hope she has more to do.
I think she's going home. That's another.
There's only so much to do there, and I in some way I feel like the Starks are going to unite or somehow help each other, even if they don't realize they're helping each other. So.
There is leaked information about the fight with Arya and the Wave, and
Mhm.
apparently, like they go in, like we've only seen the beginning of it, and they go all the way in, and Arya ends up killing her.
I believe it. And I think that's gonna be she's gonna be like, shit, I gotta get out of here. But the fact that like we think that Jaqen was in Old Town, I know they're like a strong faction and they can get her wherever she goes. So that could be a whole other thing. She could just stay on the run. She could stay in many people's faces and be incognito for the rest of her life.
Well, in the show, they haven't pumped that up. They haven't pumped up the faceless man skills.
I actually
So
think they're pumping up her blind. I think she's gonna warg into something in my mind while she's blind deaf, like she did with that cat in the book.
I'm calling it now. I'm anti-war. I don't see it happening.
I do.
I think it's
I'm
been
calling that. I'm calling that. I do see it happening with Arya before it's over.
6 years, and they have not shown anybody else warging.
I can't figure out where she started to warg in the books when she would dream of Nymeria. Was it when she first started going to the wall, or was it after?
She had the wolf dream.
When Yoren took her,
Then when she
and
was
they said they
blind,
could hear howling.
she started warging into cats to get around her blindness.
Yeah, but how long prior to that was she warging into Nymeria on other continents? That was the problem.
She's never like warged. She has wolf dreams.
But a wolf dream is accidentally working while you're asleep and looking at what they're looking at. That's what we were seeing in the beginning of the series, which was confusing to me for a while. At the dog's eye view, you're just like, what's happening here? And then it all came to me, and I was like, oh.
But the only person that's actually warged is Bran.
And I also, I'm with you on that. I'm frustrated they haven't showed a lot of it because that was a pretty good part of the show, of the book, I mean. And I wish that Jon had shown some abilities, and I can't remember if he showed them. He did. He had dreams, right?
In the show?
I think he had wolf dreams
No,
in the book. He had wolf dreams in the book. He talks about not liking the taste of meat, and I think I've heard some folks say that makes them think he's part tar because the wolf part of Bran loved to eat the meat. Little things like that. I didn't really realize that he had dreamed it until then.
Yeah, he dreams a lot. He has a lot of wolf dreams.
Yeah. So overall, it was a great, great, great episode. I have watched it 3 times. I'm probably going to watch it tonight and go to sleep again.
Sorry, I got a bear attack. Close the door.
Okay.
All right. So we can go ahead and wrap it up and head on out. Oh, battery is 7%. I hear you. I gotta go. This battery is bad.
Okay.
So what I want to do is someday next week talk about the next episode again. Like you're my favorite person to talk about show with. Hi. We've always talked about it, and we'll pick a day and we'll do it again next week, and we'll just discuss. Okay. I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm down for it. I'll bring my meat and mead.
Oh, you got your stick. I have a mug that matches my t-shirt.
Sticking with the pointy end. What?
I have a sticking with the pointy end t-shirt.
Yeah, I do, because I bought it for you, dude. Remember?
No, not my t-shirt. I bought that myself. You got my mug.
All right. Oh.
Okay. It all blends together. Okay, we're out. We're gonna say goodbye. Goodbye, Faith, with your hair. Ooh, Lord Jesus.
Bye. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Thanks for chatting with me. We'll see how this audio sounds after I play it back.
I know. I'm so scared for the first time go.
I can probably clean it up. It's all good. I'm just happy that we're discussing and chit-chatting. I love you, sis.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. Now what I'm gonna do? Go. How about we can make it with your friends? Boyfriends. Boyfriends. And they're your friends. Let's make call them. Okay. You just have to sign their names up. Sign their names up? Uh-huh. So, everybody can know this on the list. And here.
To write on the list.
Pew, 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 pew.
Silly girl.
I don't know, look at this.
Okay, you gotta hang up.